Yet again, we start the NBA talk off with injuries because there's a lot of them, and I feel like they're specifically on two teams right now. Poor Pelicans, man. They cannot really get ahead of this thing. Because I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I said, well, at least they had Brandon Ingram. And well, they don't have Brandon Ingram anymore. Out indefinitely with an ankle sprain. I mean, there is some trade rumors around him, but also, man, the Pelicans just can't put out anybody healthy.
Well, we talked last week about him getting new representation and how, I mean, just even regardless of the trade rumors, like he's going to be a big free agent this summer. And so I think
Yeah.
already there's, that kind of a bummer there from that perspective. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Like I said just before we started recording, like you and I are, I think, 7 episodes into the season now, maybe like 6 or 7, whatever. The point is, I think we've talked about a devastating Pelicans injury on like 4 or 5 of them at this point. It's every single week, and I mean, yeah, they can't. It's every time they get somebody back, somebody just goes down again.
Yeah, it was a rough game the other day. Against San Antonio, I think it was. They had like so many people out. I think it was 6 people out for the Pelicans side. And then like Wemby and Trey Jones were also out for San Antonio. So it's just like, dang, man. Which obviously we'll talk a little bit about Chris Paul and a little foreshadowing some records being made. But yeah, man. Suffered the injury in the third quarter in their loss to OKC. I mean, yeah, it's just not great for the Pelicans right now. I don't know how else to spin it, really.
It's not the disaster that it was like 3 weeks into the season when it was like their top 8 players were all hurt. Like they do have some guys back at this point. Like you've got Herb Jones in the lineup. CJ McCollum is back. DeJounte Murray is playing again. Trey Murphy is playing. It's just, again, without Zion and without BI, you're just continually like, you have pieces, but we still don't know how it all fits together. And again, that goes back to opening night when DeJounte Murray breaks his hand and gets it set off. But it's just been this group of injuries that, again, and a lot of them have been minor for the most part. Like we said, McCollum has missed time, Herb Jones has missed time, but they haven't been anything too crazy. But yeah, with Ingram out indefinitely, and obviously with the, Zion injury of the year, it really does. Like we have no idea how good this team is. And the reality is they're 5-20 right now. So it just doesn't seem like they're getting any better, any faster.
1-9 in their last 10, which I'm doing a quick look, I think is other than the Wizards, they are also 1-9 in their last 10. Find themselves in quite the pickle. Just saying.
We were going to get to the hat eventually. Like for the YouTube listeners, Justin has a pickle hat on. It's green. It's literally a pickle. Do you want to explain why? I mean, I know what happened, but like, where did this come from?
It's called the Pickle Factory. It's this place in Jacksonville that does pickles, and their big thing is like pickles. And so I just happened to be walking by it, and I went in. And they just had this straight up dad hat with a pickle on it. And I was like, no explanation. There's just a pickle in the center of this hat. And she's like, yeah, it's 30% off right now. And I said, say less. We're buying this.
How do you feel about have you seen the sandwiches where people make them out of pickles and then they just put everything in the middle?
Kind of want to try one. I feel like it'd be very wet. And like, I'm the kind of person, you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
I'm the kind of person when like my food, I don't know how to explain this without sounding like an absolute psycho. I'm the kind of person, like even a burrito, right? If it starts dripping too much or like pissing me off as I'm eating it, I just squeeze the absolute you-know-what out of it, and it just makes a massive mess. So I feel like that sandwich, all it would do is really piss me off, but I like the concept.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Like I enjoy pickles. They're fun. I put them on a burger. I don't think there's a planet where I need to have a pickle as the bun. Like that's just it's doing a little too much for me. We're flying too close to the sun.
Now, if you haven't gotten on the kimchi game, that is some stuff to get.
Oh, just in general?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, where are you going with this? I was like, oh yeah, kimchi's great.
Kimchi in general, man. Yeah, they're pretty legit. I love me some kimchi, especially when I was like really dieting hardcore. I would do like rice crackers with kimchi on it, and oh my god! And obviously, for those that care about it, fermented food apparently is really good for your gut health. So,
Yeah, that's the main billing with it, right? Like, I mean, I think it's delicious. That's my main billing for it, but
dude,
like, that's the health benefit everybody says.
a buffalo flavored pickle. Oh, so the other thing I didn't say is this place does classes for like pickling. Like they'll teach you how to pickle. And so that's good for me because like I forget what it was, like a year and a half ago. And that would have been before Quinn was born. So like 2, maybe 3 years ago, I got super into the idea of pickling. And so for my birthday, literally all anybody got me was pickling stuff. And I haven't used it. And Nicole has been so mad at me ever since. So I'm excited to maybe take one of their classes and maybe learn how to actually do this thing because it seems like it should be very easy. It's not. And it's confusing as hell. And the first time I did it, I totally ruined it. And then I got discouraged and just stopped.
Yeah, well, you go to the class, you get it figured out. I
Yeah.
feel like when you and I eventually decide one day to spin off and not do an NBA podcast anymore, we should just do a random podcast. Like, that's a prime guest of somebody that would just come on and we just talk about pickling for like an hour.
I actually did. So I did talk to her. I am trying to convince her to come in because I like for work I do like a local Jacksonville locals kind of podcast thing where we highlight certain people. And I like because she like told me something, and the whole time I was just like, this would be really good for a podcast because like
Yeah.
you're super knowledgeable in the pickling department. So like, let's go. She's been doing it for 15 years.
Damn. Okay. Hey, good for
15
her.
years, started as a
An apprentice pickler.
started as a pickle chip, and now she's the full dill. No,
Oh my god.
they were just doing like farmers markets, and I guess it got so big that now they have it turned into an e-commerce at one point, and then now it's brick and mortar. So good for them.
Yeah, love to see it. Love a good local success story. Pelicans, bless you. Wow, that was a good one.
Was that? Oh no! Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, no, oh yeah, it went out.
Oh,
Yeah, you were
that's a
close. You
sad.
almost got it. No, it was
No,
good.
you know
That's
what
what I
that
mean. That
means?
was a good one.
No, that means my speaker is not the correct one. Hold on, we're about to change it upon you guys. Ready? There we go.
Oh, okay.
That sound better right there?
Oh yeah, you sound great. Wow, it was
Yeah.
noticeably. I mean, you sounded great before, but you sound extra great now.
Now I can like sneeze and nobody's gonna hear me do it. So that
Oh,
I
okay. Well, that's.
apologize.
I mean, like we said, that was a good one. I thought you got the mute button there for a second, but
That's a
yeah.
professional move.
Anyway, though, the Pelicans, they can't. Yeah, they can't get off the ground. They're 5-20. I mean, they're tied for the worst. Well, actually, I mean, they have more losses than the Jazz do right now. They have the same amount of wins the Jazz do. They have 2 more games played.
You mean
Yeah, I mean, they're right down
Jazz,
there with the
right?
Wizards right now.
Oh,
Like
Jazz. Yeah. Sorry.
at this point, I just feel like you're right. You're almost just playing for the tank at this point. Like, I don't think obviously the Pelicans didn't intend it this way, but it's just the way that everything has happened. Again, we're gonna beat the drum in all season long, but like this draft is supposed to be loaded. If you got yourself a shot at Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey, whoever it may be, you could get a game changer here pretty early on.
Do you think about that lineup though? You get Murray, CJ, Ingram, Zion, and you add Flag to it.
Yeah. No, you have something. That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's
and
what I'm
there's just the thing with Cooper is there's just not that risk either. Like, in theory, Zion should have been the franchise changing guy. He just can't stay healthy. Like, I think we know is what it is at this point. Like,
Yeah.
the moves the Pelicans have made, that David Griffin in this front office, it makes sense. Like, the roster is set up well. Like, Murray, I like the Murray signing in particular a lot because, like, what the Pelicans missed last year desperately is a guy who could close games for them and just get a shot at the end of the game. DeJounte Murray can get a shot at the end of the game. He's a little bit of a gunner for my preferences, but he also can create his offense. Again, it just all comes back to the fact that we haven't seen it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I it's one of those things where like we talk about the bad teams and you get frustrated with some of them and some of them you expected to be there, but the Pelicans we did not think were going to be there. We were talking about that
No.
potentially 5th or 6th seed and hoping to maybe even improve to 4th, but
I was bummed about how the Pelican season ended last year. I felt like it went out with kind of a whimper, but like you said, with the Murray acquisition, but Like, I was expecting I don't know how high they were gonna get. The West is loaded, but, like, I was definitely excited to see them potentially take a step, at least be competitive. But you're right, this isn't it's soul crushing in a way because of all the injuries, and you're just
Yeah.
like, "Man, I can't believe I have, like, nothing to look forward to this season probably when we thought we were gonna be competitive." But, yeah, I don't sit here and look at the Pelicans as an abject failure the way you could look at some of these rosters and teams that are struggling where it's like, "No, everybody got hurt." That's the story of the Pelican season so far, is that every one of their best players, everyone who sees meaningful minutes on that roster has missed a game at some point this season.
Right, you see the Pelicans where they are, but you probably feel a little better about it than maybe, like, Wizards, you know,
Yeah, the Wizards feel soul crushing. And again, you're gonna get back in that conversation, but right, the Wizards feels a lot more hopeless. Yeah, the Timberwolves are super disappointing. We'll talk about them a little bit later on, and they're still in play-in position. But
right,
again, like,
absolutely, yeah.
there are plenty of other teams that I think have expectations that you could definitely argue are more disappointing. I mean, Sacramento's at a play-in position right now. I think that's disappointment so far. Um,
Well,
you
another team that surprisingly wasn't dipping, we thought would a little bit. They're currently 17-9, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Only 4 back from the Cavs, who obviously lead the NBA at the moment at 21-4, right behind the Celtics. The Orlando Magic, who also now have uh, their I don't want to say fill in for Paulo, but their next man up from Paulo,
yeah.
who is now also out with an oblique injury indefinitely. We got Franz here. So, what do you think now for the Orlando Magic? I mean, obviously, the mentality is next man up, which is who? Jalen Suggs at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes kind of a by committee approach. And I mean, look, it got off to a great start last night. You got a really impressive win, 115-110 over Phoenix. Um, and so yeah, in that game in particular, it was Goga who had a great game, 21 points. Jalen Suggs, you just mentioned, 26 points. He took 18 shots. A guy we talked about a little bit last week is Cole Anthony. We were talking about him kind of fading out of the Magic's rotation. Like, he is a guy they're going to lean on more now. They definitely leaned on him a bit last night. And yeah, it's super unfortunate too, because when Paulo went out, Franz is the guy who stepped up, and he's been doing that. Like, they've haven't really missed a beat with Paulo out. Like, that's been one
Mhm.
of the stories so far. And I think one of the things that you can really hang your hat on if you're a Magic fan, it's like, look, we're missing our bona fide superstar, and we're still winning games and being competitive in this Eastern Conference. I mean, that's again one game so far, but that's an impressive win without Franz. Like, they've got to win over the Sixers here. They've got to win over shoot, I just put their schedule away. Um Either way, the point is that my
They
they've
beat
hung
the Sixers.
tough.
They beat this. Oh, they lost to the Sixers the one day, but they
They
had a
did.
back.
They split.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they split. They had the Suns that they just beat. Lost to the Knicks, beat the Nets. So that's kind
Yeah, and so again, that's a little bit of a tougher schedule too with
of
the Knicks, but, like, the greater point is that I think you gotta like, the identity hasn't changed. They're still playing hard on defense. And look, other guys are gonna have to step up again offensively. You're probably gonna need a little more from KCP. If the bigs can give you a quality game offensively, that would be great. Looking at Wendell Carter Jr., Goga Belitze again, who's had such a good season for them this year. Um, you know, the guys who will benefit from more minutes besides Cole Anthony is Anthony Black, who's been getting them anyway. Um, but you're right. This is a tough injury. Like, this is now fully a test of where, you start to wonder the Magic have stayed afloat. Hopefully they can here a little bit. I mean, the good news is you're ideally going to get Paulo back in the next few weeks. I mean, shoot, I think he's 3 or 4 weeks into his injury now. The initial timeline was 6 weeks, so you should get him back here sooner than later. Again, unfortunate with Franz, but if it's and kind of weird that it's an oblique injury as well, like what's going on down there. But yeah, I think if they'll be able getting Paulo back will be huge. So it won't be a terribly long amount of time. Like, we're not asking them to go to the All-Star break without these two guys. You know what I mean?
no, but it does stink a little bit because up next tomorrow, and we will talk about more about this a little bit, but you've got the NBA Cup quarterfinal against the Bucks.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stinks is like, Orlando would be a team because they're younger that would feel really good to see them win the NBA Cup this year.
Yeah, and we'll get back to NBA Cup a little bit, but even just beyond that, their schedule's pretty tough here the next little bit. Like you've got OKC, you've got Miami twice, you've got Boston, you've got the Knicks. Like you don't really have a really stretch of games until almost the new year when you got Brooklyn, Detroit, Toronto, Utah, where you kind of get a cushion there a little bit. So, it's going to be tough going a little bit. Like you said, we'll talk NBA Cup here after the break. And that is kind of one of the more disappointing storylines because you're right. I think winning the NBA Cup would mean a lot to a young team. It kind of builds that confidence. That's what this cup is here for. And so again, we'll talk the full breakdown after the break, or of the NBA Cup, I should say, after the break. Welcome everybody to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
And we are on. I didn't. Let me grab the tweet. I was getting way ahead of myself. I was about to give a YouTube plug. All right, 15K at 28. My dog checking boxes. Congrats, Devin Booker. More on the way.
That's got to be KD, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't think anybody else is really tweeting that prolifically on that squad. I mean, maybe Bradley Beal throws one out once in a while, but yeah, we know what it is with KD. Hopefully we get KD back sooner than later. Phoenix kind of hovering right around that play-in mark as well, but their depth has been a little better, but we kind of know what the story is there, right? Still a little too top heavy.
Yep. And yeah, the depth is always the question mark. And so, that's what you wonder with the Suns, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, there has been, like, I think you may have just mentioned it, but the injury with KD was lingering and kind of coming in and out. So there is a little bit of that to fall back on. But yeah, 12-11 doesn't feel great for a team that has Devin Booker, KD, and Bradley Beal.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you expect higher. Like they're limited what they can do depth wise, but you brought in a few guys. Like it's just going to be like the time for push to come to shove is going to happen with this roster sooner than later, I think. But unfortunately, they're just kind of locked into it as well. Not really a lot of flexibility there. So, getting KD healthy should obviously be the biggest point. Like this team did look much better with him on the floor, as you would expect. So, we'll see what happens on that front. Real quick before I plug this stuff, Franz, 4 games or last 5 games before that injury, 29 points, 20, 30, 35, and 30. So
I could have sworn I saw that there's a documentary about the brothers that either came out or was coming out. I could have sworn I saw something about that, but I don't want to speak without.
No, I'll have to check on that. I mean, yeah, obviously they're both there. The Wagner brothers, yeah, they have It's Coming.
It's coming. Okay.
It's not out yet, but they are doing that. It's going to talk about the brothers' chemistry. It follows them from the FIBA World Cup to the present day.
Okay, cool. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, they both. It'd be kind of cool if they played on different squads a little bit. You almost get a little bit of 2 rosters, but that is, that it is obviously sick that they play together. They have a lot of chemistry. We've seen that, in their time playing together in Orlando as well. There's been a lot of rapport there. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube, like I tried to say earlier, but I jumped ahead. And so with that, find us on YouTube, Driving Dish NBA. You can subscribe. You'll also get information on when new episodes are coming out.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So the NBA Cup, the NBA Emirates Cup is officially into the quarterfinals. For anybody wondering the seeding, we've got OKC in the West at seed number 1, the Rockets at seed number 2, the Golden State Warriors seed number 3, and the Mavs seed number 4. So for anybody keeping track, that means OKC and the Mavs will head up the first quarterfinal game, and the Rockets and Warriors will be the second one in the West. In the East, you got the Bucks at number 1, the Knicks at number 2, the Hawks at number 3, Orlando Magic number 4. So that'll be Bucks, Magic, Knicks, Hawks in the quarterfinals, which both happen December 10th and 11th. So depending on when you're listening to this, they could probably already be going on or happening tonight.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Monday night. The episode's going to come out right away. So yeah, you'll be able to sneak it in before those Tuesday games. The Bucks and the Magic are first. The Thunder and the Mavs are later that night. Like the other two, like you said, Knicks and Hawks on Wednesday, Rockets and Warriors on Wednesday.
For the anybody wondering, Detroit was eliminated with the point differential tiebreaker to Orlando. Same with Boston. Phoenix was eliminated with a head-to-head tiebreaker with OKC, and the tiebreaker with Dallas. So San Antonio also eliminated with the loss to Phoenix.
Yeah, and the champion and the runner-up from last year, both the Lakers and Indy not in the knockout rounds this year. So
Well,
we will get another first-time NBA Cup champion. And so, Justin, I'll ask you first before we kind of get into these individual games. Of these 8 teams, is there anyone that sticks out that you feel like kind of wants to win this thing or really is like gunning to win this thing more than others?
just off what the expectations are with these teams, I kind of feel like Rockets and Hawks because and I would say a little bit of Orlando Magic as well, but now with the injuries, I kind of take them off. But those guys are the ones that you look at this and you're kind of like, huh, you don't necessarily match the other teams in terms of tiering in my head. Rockets might even stick out more than the Hawks to me. So I'm rooting for the Rockets because I feel like out of all of this, they may be one of the more underdog teams in terms of age and expectation this NBA season.
Yeah, the biggest underdogs to me here by far are the Hawks who you mentioned,
Yep.
and now the Magic with the
Well,
injuries. The Magic with the
for the
injuries
Magic,
are
I've
would
already kind of written
definitely.
them off. I hate doing that, but
Yeah, I think Milwaukee's gonna roll. I see it's funny because I kind of view these different like I get what you're saying, but I view it a little differently in the sense that because the Rockets have come together this year as a good story, like, yeah, it would do a lot for them as a young core. Like, I don't want to invalidate that. I think that would be a real morale win for them, would be something to hang their hat on is for a lot of these young guys as they continue to develop. But like, I don't know. I'm looking at the Bucks who have kind of been under like they've had a lot of trouble since Dame Lillard came over and the Drew Holiday, that swap essentially happened. Like it's just been a lot of bad vibes around this team
yeah,
recently where it's like, hey, if you go out and you win the NBA Cup, Giannis has nothing to prove. They've already won a title there, but it's like that can kind of, maybe change the narrative around that partnership there a little bit, adding that to them.
fix up the
Um,
locker room troubles, if you will.
yeah, for sure. I mean, my sneaky watch here is Steph Curry and the Warriors, as
Yeah.
always. Like, and two, if you want to do the LeBron and Steph little comparison kind of generational thing, LeBron's got one of these, Steph doesn't, so he can come out and get the second one, kind of boost his resume there when you're talking about the all timers.
I'm seeing what the betting odds are leaning right now. See if I can get you a number. So OKC's the most favorited. Then it's Knicks. Bucks would be third. That's like, and even Rocket. So in terms of like value pick, surprisingly, Golden State is actually the lowest on this
Yeah,
list.
that's crazy. That's
Dallas.
crazy over Orlando.
Oh, where is actually Orlando's not? There we go. Okay, Hawks and Orlando, they were hidden. So Hawks and
Okay.
Orlando are actually the bottom two. Golden State, but like put in an example, OKC is only plus 280.
Hmm.
Golden State's plus 850.
Yeah.
Hawks are plus 2,300. Orlando, same thing. But like, I don't know. Rockets at 700 feels
Any of those Western teams between OKC, Dallas, Houston, and the Warriors could easily win this thing, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Like
valid.
I think they all have different reasons that like the Mavs are coming off the finals run, vibes are there good there right now. Luka's back healthy from injury. OKC, obviously, we have a contender to win the whole thing this year. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody that we viewed as the Western Conference favorite just goes out and sweeps this thing. Listen, Houston's scrappy. It's a single elimination game. Like we said, a lot of depth. They're well coached. The Warriors have a ton of experience. So like we don't need to run that down again. I do think whoever comes out of this West is going to be the favorite. Maybe I feel a little bit differently if Milwaukee or the Knicks come out, but even if the Knicks come out in my eyes, I still am probably,
Yeah.
for betting purposes or just in general, like if I'm picking, I'd probably go whoever is out of the West here. The best teams in the East, like Cleveland's not in it, Boston's not in it. The Bucks just still leave a little bit to be inspired. The Knicks are playing well. They're 14-7. Like it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Knicks come out of this. I do love the Knicks Hawks matchup. I know the figures here have changed a little bit, but anytime you've got Trae Young playing the Knicks, we still know there's a little bit of spice there, the potential for something special. So you're right. I mean, the Hawks, in terms of like they have no expectations, so they can probably play the loosest, and that can be scary. Like And it would do a lot. It would do a lot for them. That's a franchise that hasn't really done much since that conference finals run a few years ago. In terms of as we get to picks, I guess the first game we'll start in the East. The first game, it is with the injuries. I'm going to pick the Bucks here. I think it kind of goes without saying. Giannis is playing great right now. The Magic will play them tough, but Bucks are getting Chris Middleton back too. I don't know. I just think they'll have a little too much firepower this go around for Orlando.
Yeah, that's sadly the only matchup that I'm not excited to really see. I
Yeah.
think all the other three can be a coin flip for the most part. You could talk me into either outcome, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I still am gonna go chalky a little bit, and I would take the Knicks over the Hawks as well.
I would do that. I would take that. I also just want to point out, if you have $75
Uh-huh.
and you put 25 on the Rockets, 25 on Golden State, and 25 on Atlanta, win the whole thing. You could potentially win either $175, $212, or $575.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like that advice for Atlanta. I mean, I get it for the value, but I also feel like you can just give me $25 at that point. The last time I said that about the Hawks, they made that conference finals run.
All right, I'm locking it in. I'm putting 25 on the Hawks, and we're seeing what happens.
Infamous moment in the Driving Dish NBA podcast.
Yeah, dude, they're plus 2,300 right now. That's wild.
It got weird. It got real close for a second, where I was like, "Is this really about to happen?"
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think Bucks beat Orlando. I'm cool with Knicks beating the Hawks. Although now for my $25 bet, I might flip that and say Hawks. And then Hawks beat the Bucks, so the Hawks are in the championship over there.
Yeah.
I say OKC beats the Mavs, Rockets beat the Warriors, Rockets beat OKC. We got a Hawks Rockets championship December 17th in Las Vegas, and I think the NBA is so pissed off about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be Orlando with no injury. At least the Hawks, you have Trae Young. Orlando Rockets is probably my NBA. Adam Silver is not happy about this, but I mean, it would be a great matchup. Trust me, I am not slandering either of those teams. That's just me from a ratings perspective.
But if you have a chance to have OKC or the Warriors or the Knicks or the Bucks, some kind of combo of that, even the Hawks a little bit. But man, they definitely wouldn't be pumped about that. I'm putting that in. Rockets Hawks NBA championship December 17th. I can't wait to watch it. What am I doing on the 17th? What day is it?
You're a psycho. Good for you. I think the Bucks are going to beat the Magic. I think the Knicks are going to beat the Hawks. I'll go Knicks over Bucks, actually. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take the 2C there, a little bit of an upset. I do think OKC is going to beat Dallas. That one's close. I'm giving OKC the benefit, a little Western Conference Finals revenge there. I do have Golden State beating the Rockets. I'm going to go Golden State upset special beats the Thunder in the championship. This just seems like a very Warriors-y thing to win, because I don't think they're going to win the title this year. So it feels like they could go all in for this. Yeah. Giving you a Warriors-Knicks NBA Cup, and then I'm going to go with Steph Curry and the Warriors winning the NBA Cup. Curry adding a little more drama to the him and LeBron legacy debate. This just feels like a Warriors thing to do. I don't know why. I can't explain it.
I like it. I'm about it. I'm in.
Either way, though, I think whoever comes out of the Western Conference is going to be the favorite. I think that's the one thing we can say. Knicks and Bucks, if it's one of those two, will really give up a fight. See, the mic didn't catch it that time. I turned it off that time. But yeah, I think they'll probably be the underdog. But you could talk me into the Warrior or the Knicks or the Bucks winning this whole thing for sure.
All right. Well, when it's December 14th and the Rockets just beat the Warriors and they're going up against OKC and they're up 20 by halftime.
Yeah. I hope it's, listen, I would love for it to be Rockets Hawks. I would love for that, or Rockets Magic, and have the NBA Apocalypse matchup happen. I am not look, Indy was in it last year. I am all about sharing the wealth. That's the beauty of the NBA Cup is we'll get to see if that happens a little bit this year. All right, who's balling, who's falling, our NBA version of the stock market. We always start with the good before the bad. Justin, I'll start with you. Who is balling this week?
We're shouting out Russell Westbrook, who has been starting in place of Murray and has actually been doing really well. The Nuggets are turning it around a little bit. In those games, 4-1 record, 14 points per game, 5.5 assists, 5 rebounds, 53 from the field. And what's worth mentioning is he's only on a $3 million contract. So like value wise, whoa. So
Yeah. I mean, you still get those flashes of good Russ once in a while, right? And I mean, with him in the starting lineup, like they've had successes there in the past. I know he sacrificed to come off the bench, but that's been the role ideally he's looking for. I mean, look, the Nuggets got a much needed win the other night against the Hawks, won by 30. Because
well,
listen, that loss against the Wizards when Jokic had 56
yeah.
points and they lost. I'm not gonna lie, I thought my man might pack it up and go back to Serbia for the season after that. Like
And
that's unexplained or inexcusable if you're the Nuggets to be losing that game. Losing the Cavs, that's fine. Like, we're not going to hate on that. You beat the Warriors the game before that. Like, no issues there. That Wizards loss is brutal.
yeah, and I think one thing that helps this situation is Westbrook definitely has like a pass first mentality, which is what a lot of people have been complaining about Murray's situation. So that has been obviously benefiting MPJ and Jokic, obviously, who's been getting the ball a lot better. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, double-digit assists in the last two. Like, he's not scoring a lot, really.
yeah,
Like, he's been in single digits, but yeah, 11 assists against Atlanta, 12 against the Wizards.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Do we does this become a permanent role for Westbrook? I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a spot start with Murray. Like, Murray's got a hamstring injury, so I think they're always going to take caution with that. But like, it's good to know that he can give you those moments for a second. The Nuggets, I mean, they're talk about disappointments. Like, that's another team that's right there too. So yeah, I mean, they need to kind of get some momentum going in the right direction. Ballin for me this week is Chris Paul. Chris Paul passed Jason Kidd for number 2 all time on the NBA assist record. He now has assist 12,092. Fittingly, it was to Wembanyama, who, of course, Chris Paul came to San Antonio, namely to play with here. It's kind of his end of his career, twilight, type deal. He's chasing John Stockton for the all-time assist record. I got to be honest, that assist record is pretty unbreakable, it seems like. I mean, John Stockton's at 15,806 assists. So, Chris Paul needs another 3,000 at this point to get close. And yeah, I mean, look, he's still playing at a pretty high level. Like, I don't doubt he's going to keep racking them up here, but I mean, Chris Paul's already pushing 40. Like, I don't think he's going to play till he's like 44 or something.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, what's the stats? Like, how many assists did he total last year? Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up for you.
John Stockton, his last season, had 629 assists, and that was in 2002 and 2003.
Chris Paul last year had 205 assists. It looks
That
like
was last year?
in the regular season. Oh no. Sorry, that's this year. Yeah. Sorry, that's way off.
Okay.
Yeah, because that felt low. Let me see. Although last year might not be a good. Chris Paul was 28th in the league at 3. Where'd he go? 393. But that's with Golden State, so that is low. Like, that's not starting numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because he's already at 205 this year. You're right. He only played 58 games. But I mean, for some perspective,
Phoenix
he's
was
been
at
in the
524.
Yeah, like for some perspective, he's been in the 400s though,
Yeah.
largely like his time with Houston, his season with OKC. The 2 seasons with Phoenix were electric, obviously. Like he was 600, 700 plus each though. Stockton was basically doing 700 plus every year of his career. I mean, his lowest 2 seasons were 543 in 97, 98 and 374 in 98, 99. And then he only played 50 games. So
There was
yeah,
only 2 players in the 2023-2024 season that had over 700 assists. Do you know who they are?
in what season?
Last season.
Um,
Last season.
is it SGA?
No, SGA surprisingly is 18th on this
Oh,
list.
dude, Hallie's got to be one, right?
Hallie's number 1 at 752.
Who is
You're gonna go, oh yeah, that makes sense when you think of this person.
I
West
know.
Coast.
Oh, it's a West team?
Yeah.
I almost said Ja, and then I'm like, right, he was suspended all last year. Never mind. Man, yeah, who else? It's probably not Book. I don't think Book has that many. It's not
Wrong
SGA.
position.
It's not Kyrie, is it?
Wrong position.
Is it? It's a shooting guard?
No.
Oh, wait, oh my God, it's Jokic, isn't it?
Jokic, yeah.
Wow. Okay, man.
Yeah,
That's sick.
708. The next closest after Jokic at 708 is Luka at 686.
Okay, yeah, Luka was gonna
Wow.
get up there and guesses
Sabonis
eventually.
is up there too, by the way. Those
Who?
that's your top 4. Sabonis.
Oh, yeah, look, Sabonis plays like baby Jokic, like,
Yeah,
that's not really surprising. He takes on a big part of that facilitator role in Sacramento.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Chris Paul, like, he's 39 years old at this point.
yeah.
Like, John Stockton was 40 when he retired. Um, I mean, the fact that he's passing 2 all time, and because Jason Kidd had it, obviously an incredibly long career as well. Like, Chris Paul's still playing a lot of big minutes. He's gonna run this up. It's just more, this, if anything, too, is more of like beyond the Chris Paul appreciation is like, man, Stockton had so many damn assists. Like, that may be an untouchable NBA record. There aren't many that I think are. Like, that one's pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I'm very excited for my Fallin. Sorry, I was just making sure I had the whole thing zoomed in enough so that I can give you this amazing rundown reporting that happened from a Redditor.
Okay.
So, my Fallin is a Redditor who asks, "Did Jimmy Butler commit biological warfare against the Mavericks during the game on November 24th?"
Uh-huh.
This was posted 2 hours ago, so anybody that wants to know, December 9th says, "Butler was listed as questionable before the Heat win over the Mavericks on November 24th due to an illness, but he was cleared to play right before the game and played 38 minutes. Following this game, 7 Mavs players were sick and on the injury report. The very next day with the Hawks on November 25th, Grimes missed due to an illness. Derek Lively was ruled out in the second half for an illness, and Kyrie was questionable in the game due to an illness as well, but ultimately played. A few days later, November 27th, another player, Daniel Gafford, was out with an illness. Najee Marshall missed the second half in the November 30th game against the Jazz due to an upper respiratory illness and has been out under the same illness ever since. If his own Twitter can be considered a source, he was already feeling under the weather November 26th and likely before that as well. Max Kleber missed the game December 7th versus Toronto for an illness and has already been ruled out for the Tuesday NBA Cup game versus OKC for the same reason. Is Jimmy Butler the new Typhoid Mary? It seems pretty clear. Update. It has been brought to my attention that Butler was made sick because Joel Embiid played a game sick the game before. How did it come back to Joel Embiid?
It always comes back to Embiid somehow. No, I mean, listen, I appreciate Jimmy taking up the mantle of continuing the Dallas Miami rivalry that many had thought died out when Dirk and Dwayne Wade both retired and they split those finals. But listen, the threat is definitely there, and I get it. Like, you're playing in an NBA game. It very well may have happened.
There's one more addition to these. Yeah, Butler missed all the games between then and now. Embiid himself could have gotten it potentially from Andre Drummond, who was fighting an illness on 11/13. So whoever gave the NBA plague to Drummond still eludes us.
Well, that's like what's Rudy Gobert been up to recently? I don't think the Sixers have played Minnesota in this run, unfortunately. But yeah, they got enough problems. Don't make Andre Drummond patient zero, though. That would be very fitting of this roster to find a way to make that happen. Yeah, no, that's funny. I appreciate that Reddit detective work there. Fallin for me, I mean, it's a co-Fallin because Anthony Edwards got fined $25,000, right, for profanity in a post-game locker room. So it is technically falling because he's got to pay that fine, which is crazy. But I'm going to put the NBA as fallen here a little bit as well because it's just like it's a fleeting expletive, essentially. Like, Ant said, "I just got to bleeping play better," as he could be overheard saying that, like in the background of a scrum with Julius Randle, like a medium scrub. So he didn't even really say that to the reporter. And then he just said, "I got to find my teammates effing terrible by me." This is after the loss to Golden State the other night, which, like, dude is frustrated. He's not really cursing at anyone in particular. I get that there are rules, but it's like, are you kidding me, NBA?
Well, I mean, I go back to there's rules, man. Just don't curse and you're fine.
It's the NBA locker room. Like, he's not really like, are we Puritans now in the NBA? Is that what happened here? You're going to take $25K out of that man's pocket because of that?
Yep. Hey, listen, 25K to him is probably nothing.
I hear you, but it's not though. That's the precedent. It's like the 25K may not be a lot to Anthony Edwards, but like, man, you use that, you find one of these like rotation guys, a G League guy, 25K is a lot.
Well, that's why you got to win the NBA Cup, get that cash, you know?
Yeah, get the teammates help him out. Josh Hart, we know is from last week, is really trying to do that.
Well, selfishly though.
Listen, whatever. If you get to the right end destination, even if it's the wrong way, at least you got there, I guess.
I agree. That was your Fallin, right?
That was my Fallin. We're gonna switch gears into Immaculate Grid here a little bit. I did figure out, by the way, as we're recording on a Monday, like I said earlier, that Saturday is definitely category day. So that will be because like this one past week, it was like one of the like born outside the US in 50 states. It was like either 10,000 rebounds or 5 assists or something like that.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, either way. Do we want to pull the grid up?
Yes, but I'm very excited because we got an Elfrid Payton connection twice.
Oh, wow, twice. Okay, well, let's see. Before we jump into it, like last week, we don't want to give him. We will use Elfrid Payton at some point, but for the podcast listeners, of course, you can always watch Immaculate Grids on YouTube. Just search Driving Dish NBA podcast. For the listeners, though, our columns from left to right, you've got the Grizzlies, you've got the Trailblazers, and you've got 5 assists per game. Our top to bottom, you've got row-wise, you've got the Minnesota Timberwolves, you've got the Magic, and you've got the Pelicans. So yeah, you got. Where are the Elfrid connections at? Oh, I mean, 5 assists per game. Okay, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't think he played for Portland or for Memphis, but yeah, I don't know if it'll work for New Orleans as much. It'll definitely work for Orlando, 5 assists per game.
Does it count for like right now? Because how many games has he played for?
Actually, you know what? You might be right. That it may be a weird technicality. Look,
one burger.
That's what I mean. That alone may have just completely skewed it. I pretty sure he got cut already. Like he got cut after we did that last week.
So that's his season. That's 5 assists.
I do. It works for New Orleans. If you want to do it for New Orleans, I'm down. Because there's no way he played more than like 5, 6 games.
If they say no for this. Okay, yeah, okay, we're good.
It's the 21. That 21 has to skew it. Let me pull it up right now. I do want to see this for Elfrid. Before I close that basketball. Yeah, it's 6.9 assists per game this season. Nice.
Orlando. I know he has it for Orlando. Like
he every full season where he's been a starter, he's had 6+. There were 2 years. There's a year with the Knicks, and then his last stint with the Suns, he was off the bench and didn't have as many. 6.9 with the Pelicans this season. He played 7 games. He started 3 of them. What were his total? Yeah, I mean that 21 really skewed it. But he did. He had 8 his first game, 8, 4, 21, 4, 3, 7, and 1. So like, yeah, 2 7 games in an 8 game will help as well.
Yep.
Where you're trying to get over 5. But do we want to just clean out 5 assists per game per season real quick?
We can if you want. I have a Grizzlies Timberwolves. I have 3 of them.
Okay. Let's hear them.
Not for 5 assists. Kyle Anderson, Mike Conley, and I believe Derrick Rose.
Yeah, no, yes to all 3 of them. Derrick Rose, I always feel like will be high because just of who he is. Mike Conley will definitely be high in this circumstance because he's Mike Conley.
Would also work 5 assists per game. Like I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, I think he would too. He had 5 with the Wolves, I think. He's getting enough minutes there that you would think he's one of those guys I think gets 5 just off the rip.
Rubio probably would work there as well.
Rubio definitely works there. Yeah, for sure. Rubio works there. Yeah, with the Grizz, I'm trying to think. Grizz Wolves, who else played for the both of them? I feel there's going to be a bunch of random players, I feel like, who work for them. Of the 3 you mentioned, I would be most inclined to go Kyle Anderson. I mean, Kyle Anderson is there now, but I still think it'll be lower.
Okay. You want to go Kyle?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Of the 3 you mentioned.
Kyle Anderson. Dang.
Yeah, 10%. Oh, he's there now. That's the thing. He's with him playing on Minnesota now. I think that probably helps. Okay, Minnesota and Portland is definitely a little bit tougher for me as I'm working through this right now.
Wes Matthews, did he play for both?
He definitely played for Portland. I don't think he played for Minnesota. I'm trying to think of like any of those Aldridge teams. None of those guys did.
Oh, boy. Okay, Portland Timberwolves. Well, we can do 5 assists. If we need to skip it, we can do 5 assists because we know Mike Conley works there. I wonder if OJ Mayo works there.
Oh, man, I don't know about Minnesota.
I don't think he does either, but
yeah, I mean Conley, Rubio,
Ant probably works.
Yeah.
Who was there?
I'm trying to think of, like, who they're like. They had Teague at one point, like during the Jimmy years.
Yeah. Oh, what about Brandon Roy?
For 5 a game? Brandon Roy didn't play for Minnesota.
Did he even play for Minnesota?
No, that's what I'm saying. Brandon Roy only played for Portland, I think. Right?
I'm trying to think.
Brandon Roy did have a weird end of his career, right? Like stint in Minnesota?
I have no idea. I just said the name for some reason, but I think because I was associating it with the Trailblazers. Mo Williams.
Did he play for the Wolves?
Dude, I remember him.
We've got 3 good guesses here. Like we have 3 actual legitimate guesses that work.
Yeah.
Do Jeff Teague.
Oh, Teague would be a great one.
Teague will be the lowest. Teague was there in the Jimmy years. I think he'll be low.
No, I like
that. Would have worked too. Probably D'Lo might have worked there.
Oh, D'Lo would have been a good one. No, Teague, I like that. That was 2%.
Teague's a 2%. I don't think he would have worked anywhere else either.
That's a good one.
You have me stuck on this Brandon Roy thing now. I mean, he's a Portland legend. Like I still maintain Brandon Roy is one of the all-time what ifs in the NBA for me. Like injuries robbed him. Did he have a stint in Minnesota at the end?
I don't know. I just said it, but I was looking at the Portland logo when we talked about 5 assists, so I might have just said it.
This is one of those like weird Justin hunches that I feel like I don't.
Oh, you know who works for Minnesota and Timberwolves?
Who?
Covington.
Covington does work, actually. Yeah, he does.
That's a good one. Sixers connect right there.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm always cool. Bob Covington, huge process 14%. Success story. 14. Wow. Yeah, I didn't. Damn. Who?
Okay.
Not Billups didn't. Billups with coaching there. I always get confused because I think Billups. He definitely played for Minnesota. Anyway. It doesn't work there, but I think that just one always throws me for a second every time.
Dude, Portland's going to be tough.
Portland and Pelicans already have at least one I can think. Portland Pelicans, I think I got 2. Larry Nance played for both. Larry Nance Jr.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm pretty sure Rodney Hood played for both too. I know he played for Portland. I'm not 100% sure about the Pelicans. I know he played for Portland. Nance, I'm 100% positive about from that front.
Oh, you know who? Orlando, Portland. Shoot, we saw him at Summer League. He was like their number 1 pick the one year, and he was like a nothing.
For who? For Portland or for Pelicans?
Orlando, Portland connect.
Oh,
we saw him.
The number 1 pick who was for Orlando.
He wasn't the number. Well, he was Orlando's first pick. I want to say it was 2015, 2016. He was like pick 8 or 5 or something like that.
Mario Hezonja.
Yes.
Mario Hezonja. He definitely played for Portland. That's a good one. Yeah. I thought Hezonja was going to be good. He was not. Spoiler alert.
4%, baby. Yeah, that's his name.
He came over after Saric, and there was always rumors that he and Dario had beef.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why. It was some like Slavic family thing, I guess.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. They have bigger beefs than problems that we do over there. Yeah, sorry, I don't remember where I was going. All right, so we have Grizzlies, Pelicans, Grizzlies, Magic, uh, Blazers, Pelicans, and Magic 5 assists per game per season. I mean, Magic 5 a game per season, I can think of a bunch of. It's
Yeah.
not really just even recently. Like Markelle probably had 5 a game per season.
Do you think Anthony had it last year?
Cole Anthony?
Yeah.
Ah, man, he might have. He's one of those where he's right on the border. He would add the minutes. I just like because he's such a shooter.
Yeah.
I just
Oladipo probably had it.
Oladipo might have had it. Cole Anthony Loki might have had it too. I mean, he was playing a lot of minutes. Oladipo,
Oladipo,
it's a question of they do in Orlando, but if he
Alfred.
I mean, who else would they? I mean, Jameer Nelson is the obvious one to me.
Who was Raymond Felton there? Who was their point guard before like Alfred and the gang?
What, like in the Eastern Conference run?
Yeah.
Jameer Nelson.
Jameer. Yeah, Jameer's probably a good one.
Jameer definitely works. I mean, I think he'll be one of the higher ones just because he was good there for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think Vooch had it?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think
I
he's
mean,
passes enough.
that's my thing is like he may have like stumbled into being close a few times, but I'm not ready to put him anywhere near 5 assists per game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of their other they had a guard who I was thinking of, not Cole. We mentioned Cole Anthony, not Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross is too much of a shooter. Fultz is the obvious one too recently. Who am I missing? I mean, Penny back in the day, Penny Hardaway. I
Yeah.
mean, Penny's a legend. I think Penny is gonna like I think he'll go pretty high. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm leaning of everybody we said, I'm weirdly leaning Cole Anthony right now. Cole Anthony played enough minutes, I'm pretty sure.
Cole Anthony?
Yeah, I think it would have been early in his career, but I feel like one of the first 2 years that he would have snuck 5 a game in. Nice, okay. Why is he so mad in his pick?
He's pissed.
Oh, dude, by the way, I don't know, you knew something. Brandon Roy did play in Minnesota. He only played for Portland. He had 1 attempted comeback. He played a 5-game stint in Minnesota in 2012, 2013. So that actually would have worked for Portland, Minnesota.
Jeez. I don't think that was like me onto something. I think I
Wait, whatever, you were there.
Brandon Roy, and then then we just happened to keep going with it.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, the number one for Magic and Grizzlies to me is probably going to be Vince Carter. He had late
Yeah.
stints at both of those places or with them.
Jeff Green, because I feel like he works with everything.
Does basically, yeah. It's him and Ish work with everything.
Didn't Matt Barnes go to the Grizzlies too for a little bit there?
He did. Matt Barnes actually does. A grid darling does work for Magic and Grizzlies as well.
Because I don't think he played a lot for either of those teams.
No, I mean he was on the Magic team that went to the finals because I mean he's the guy who, right? Like he's when Kobe didn't flinch. Like Matt Barnes is the guy trying to get him to flinch. Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I also feel like Maurice Spates works.
Wow, Mo Speed. I would love to go Maurice Spates if you want to go Mo. I think he does. He definitely played in Orlando, and I'm pretty sure he played for the Grizzlies.
I feel like he played more on the like I remember him more on the Grizz than I remember him on Orlando.
I agree with that. Actually, Orlando was the very end of his career. I would definitely be down for Mo Spates. That's awesome because I think most people associate him with the 0.6. Hell yeah, Justin. Yeah, I mean people associate him with Golden State. He won the title with Golden State.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Mo Speezy. All right. Pels and Grizzlies.
Steve, big man.
Yeah, Adams. Steven Adams.
Yeah,
Steven and Valanciunas. Steven Adams and Valanciunas both work. They have pair of big men. Yeah, I'm trying to think beyond that. Grizzlies and Pels. I feel like there's somebody like moderately big that
like center or
no. I mean, we got 2 of those already.
I know, that's what I was gonna say.
Baron Davis never played with the Grizz. I'm thinking, did David West never played with the Grizz, right?
No, man, I don't think so. Valanciunas, Steven Adams.
Yeah, I'm really drawing a blank here. I can't even like think of a random, like a. Honestly, no. I think Kyle Anderson might have worked here, low key.
Really?
I think so. I feel like there's somebody on the Pels now that works too, and I don't know why.
No. I don't think I got one here.
I'm fine going with one of the bigs. Then I mean, you tell me. You want Valanciunas or you want Adams?
I feel like there's not a lot. I feel like, and this might be a hot take. I feel like Steven Adams might be a bigger name.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. Val might be a better player, but Steven Adams, I think, just the whole being from New Orleans, the whole being from New Zealand thing.
I think so too.
Tattoos, the hair. He was on OKC early with a lot of those guys. Man, I mean, that's the thing is, I feel like both of those guys are really high. Like it's chalky, but I do.
Did Rodney Hood do both
for Portland and Pelicans? I'm way less like confident about the Pelicans. I know he played for Portland. That's not a doubt in my mind. Oh man, because he got drafted by Utah, and I think in my head I thought he got drafted by New Orleans, and he definitely got drafted by Utah.
Okay.
Oh man,
there a trade recently with the Pelicans and Trailblazers?
Oh yeah, that's where Nance was. I'm trying to remember who else was in that trade, but that's where Larry Nance was in. Because yeah, right now that's what I got. I'm trying to like none of those like Batum, Aldridge, Wes Matthews types went there.
No. Luke Kennard, no. I don't think he was on either of those teams.
I was gonna say, I was like, how'd you get to Luke?
Oh no, there's a I'm envisioning a basketball player, and I can't get their name.
I don't think there's really any of the legends that went there either. Like I'm thinking of the great players in each franchise, and they play together in a pretty memorable playoff series with that's when Drew clamped Dame for the entire first round. That was almost like Drew's national, like, hello, I'm really good.
Yeah.
People should talk about me more type series. Yeah. I don't. Let's just go Larry Nance then, and we just got.
Oh my God, we're so stupid. CJ McCollum, literally.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Wow, we even talked about him earlier in this podcast. Yeah, that's the most chalky answer by far. Yeah, CJ.
Yeah, that's not going to do it.
The trade. Yeah, I mean he'll definitely be the number one there. You're right. We should have got CJ McCollum way earlier. That's bad. Yeah. Okay. So now we have two.
Oh wait. Yeah, we have two.
Who's the other one?
His name is right on the tip of my tongue.
Big man, guard, forward.
Guard. He was in the Lakers trade, I think. That brought him to the Pelicans. Lonzo, Ingram. Who was the next one?
It was Lonzo, Ingram. I mean, that crew, it was Randall, it was Kuzma, it was
Kuzma. I forgot about that. No.
I mean, well, Kuzma was in the trade. Kuzma's the one that stuck.
Yeah. Wasn't there another player that went?
Man, it was I mean, Zubats, but
no.
I thought it was Nance. Like, Larry Nance played for the Lakers.
You might be right. Who am I thinking of?
I'm trying to think if there's like a draft guy that we used to be high on.
Was it Josh Hart?
Oh, dude, you know what? It might be. Josh Hart definitely played for Portland because he's on Portland for the Knicks. He's definitely on the Pelicans. So yeah, that's actually that's a good guess. So that we can file that one.
Was he not in that trade?
He might have been. No, he was.
In my head, he was in that trade for something.
He was, I think. So yeah, that makes sense. It would be
hard.
Yeah, we can go hard. It's going to be harder. Nance will be lower than McCollum is, but yeah, Josh Hart was definitely in that trade.
12% on that one. There you go. 82 rarities. Yeah. Let's go.
Like, there's only the one draft guy I wanted to think of late that I don't know why he popped into my head was Noah Vonleh. Definitely.
No, you
He
know
didn't
who
work.
I
Okay.
wonder would work? Trailblazers, Pelicans, Nerlens Noel.
Did he play for? I don't think he played for either of those
I
teams.
thought he was on the Pelicans at one point.
He got drafted by the Pelicans, but he got traded to us right away.
Maybe that's why I was drawing it. And he did.
I'm
Yeah.
pulling.
Okay.
No, Nerlens, Philly,
Never did.
Dallas, OKC, Knicks, Pistons, Nets.
Okay.
All right, so most popular answers, if we want to scroll down, Timberwolves and Grizzlies, Mike Conley, Timberwolves and Blazers, Brandon Roy. So I guess it's a good
So
thing we
funny.
didn't go that way. Ricky Rubio, 5 assists per game for the Timberwolves. Vince Carter, most popular for Magic and Grizzlies. Al Farouk Aminu, most popular for Blazers and Magic. Holy hell, I would have never thought that in a zillion years. And I know that was a recent transaction, but wow, I did not see that one. Penny Hardaway, most popular, 5 assists with the Magic. Steven Adams, so yeah, Valanciunas was a little bit lower there. Steven Adams, most popular for Pelicans and Grizzlies. CJ McCollum, most popular for Pelicans and Trailblazers. Chris Paul, most popular for Pelicans, 5 assists per game per season. If we want to recap our grid one last time, Kyle Anderson for Timberwolves and Grizzlies, Robert Covington for Timberwolves and Blazers, Jeff Teague, Timberwolves, 5 assists per game, Maurice Spates, Magic and Grizzlies, Mario Hezonja, Magic and Blazers, Cole Anthony, Magic, 5 assists per game per season, Jonas Valanciunas, Pelicans and Grizzlies, Josh Hart, Pelicans and Trailblazers, Elfrid Payton, Pelicans, 5 assists per game per season. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, or read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, anywhere you can get your podcasts, you can find us.
And we're on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA podcast. You can watch the video version there.